stay home and stay safe. I'm Anson Tebbetts with the Vermont Agency of Agriculture. Of course, don't forget your mask. A number of you have gotten your mask, and we want folks to be safe out there. So wear them if you're out in the public and you're going to be near other folks. And if you're working as well near other people, it's great to have your mask with you and on to protect yourself against this virus. A couple of notes for folks about as we slowly turn the spigot here and get the economy going again. A couple of things that have happened since we last chatted. Farmers markets now open. Look for the guidance on our webpage about some of the things that we've put in place to make those places safe so you can get food, the farmers markets. Also, greenhouses and also garden centers are open again, and there's some guidance on that as well. Just a couple of things that are happening in the ag world as we open up the economy, as well as trying to keep people safe and secure during this pandemic. Right now, we want to talk about food security, so we're going to turn to John Sayles, who's with the Vermont Foodbank, about what's happening with their operation under the pandemic. John Sayles joining us from the Vermont Foodbank. John, thank you for joining us on these chats.
Mr. Secretary, I'm happy to be here. It's really a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. So let's talk about the food bank. You've been around a while. You've had an important role in the community for a number of years. Talk about what the Vermont Food Bank does and how it's important to the Vermont community.
Yeah, well, the Vermont Food Bank serves the entire state of Vermont, and we serve in partnership with about 300 other organizations that are food shelves and meal sites, schools, hospitals, housing sites, kind of you name it. If they're serving people who have low incomes and are serving food, we're probably partnering with the Vermont Food Bank. You know, our vision is a state where everyone has access to enough food every day, where everyone is healthy, and where everyone takes action to end hunger and poverty. And so that's what we're focused on. We're focused on before COVID-19 and are really hyper focused on now.
Yeah, so it like a lot of us, we woke up one day and pretty much America had to shut down overnight, and that created unemployment. So in Vermont, we could have unemployment nowadays. 20 to 25% of Vermonters are not working. So that means, pay's not coming in. There's not checks coming in. People need to eat. They need to feed their families. So you guys, immediately the phone starts ringing at your place, and you have to supply, probably hundreds or thousands of more people that you hadn't been helping prior to the pandemic. So talk about the ramp up and talk about what you've been doing over that period of time.
Yeah, what we've been seeing is at our partner food shelves and meal sites, and at our, we have what we call Veggie Van Go, which is basically a free farmers market that are put on at schools and hospitals. Of course, first thing is everything shifted from a shopping experience or a traditional farmers market experience to really a grab and go. So now everyone is packaging up, pre-packaging or boxing the food and making sure that it's either just popped in somebody's trunk, or some of the smaller food shelves, they leave bags on the front porch, just like some of our farm stands are doing now. You call up an order and this is just a pre-packed bag. What we have found, both from our partners and our own distributions at the food bank, is it's usually between 30 and 100% increase in the number of people who are showing up. And like you said, I had heard today that unemployment is now 25% in Vermont. And a lot of folks, despite, great efforts, and this is happening across the country, but people are applying for unemployment, but it's taking a bit. The systems are overwhelmed. The federal government's efforts to get money in people's pockets aren't operating as smoothly as everyone had hoped. So people are really worried. And I think one of the ways that we always talk about across the country for people to supplement their incomes is the charitable food system. So going to the food shelf and being able to defer paying for some food and have some extra money to pay the rent or get the oil tank filled or put gas in the car. for those of us that still are fortunate enough to be working. So we've seen that big increase in the first 2 weeks of April. The food bank increased the amount of food we're distributing by 62%. So a lot more food is going out. A lot of food is on order, so more's coming in, but that's happening a little more slowly. So our stocks are decreasing, although I wouldn't say it's critical yet. Also, the UVM, the Gund Institute, did a survey at the very beginning of this and found that about 33% more people in Vermont are consider themselves food insecure. So people are seeing and identifying themselves as being in trouble and needing to reach out for some extra help. The food bank's doing all we can, partnering. I say partnering relentlessly because that's really what it's about. We can't do this alone. And getting as much food in and out as we can to people as quickly as we can.
And we're excited about a little project that we've all been working on with you and the community foundation and dairy farmers and dairy processors. And we're going to be having a program where we're going to be able to get some milk, some fresh milk to folks that under normal circumstances may have been disposed of by processors, but we're going to turn that into some gallon jugs. And we're also going to do some yogurt from Commonwealth down in Brattleboro, and we're going to get some yogurt to folks. So that's pretty exciting, but those types of things are going to be needed as we try to figure this out. It's going to take everybody, and everyone's got to reach down deep to figure this all out. And that's just one pocket that is going to help our dairy farmers because they may get some return on those cows being milked, but also I know it's going to provide valuable food and nutritious food for folks is what we need. And I think nothing gets anyone's blood boiling more is seeing agriculture products going to waste. And what we've seen across the country and pockets in Vermont with dairy is it's being disposed of. It's not getting into the bellies where it needs to go. So we're excited about that. And we appreciate your partnership of helping us get it to those people as we roll this out.
Well, we're really excited about that too. And the challenging part is always that last mile. How do we reach the consumers? It's about partnerships, and your agency and the rest of state government, our partners out in the community. Everyone's really been great about figuring this out. We're all really coming together and making sure that we're taking care of each other. I also am reading all those stories about agricultural products not being harvested and milk not being processed, and at the same time all this great need. So every crisis is also an opportunity, and sometimes I hate to call the charitable food system a system because it doesn't feel like one. It feels kind of reactionary and chaotic, and I think this is an opportunity for us to make some pretty radical changes in the way we do business. And something that makes more sense for people and to people. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I think people are thinking about maybe we need to really get into a regional system as opposed to maybe a national food system now. We really need to think about, that supply chain being a little more regional and buying local and maybe we can source more of our food from here. And we know in Vermont how to grow things, we know how to produce things, and of course we provide a valuable service to some of the big population centers around New England and New York as well. So we'll work through some of those issues. So how are you managing this? So you've got a couple things. You're trying to feed people, but you're also trying to keep your people safe, and you've got your operation in Barrytown. And how are you managing getting all that stuff out the door by keeping your employees safe as well?
Yeah, obviously, the food bank is an essential employer, and our employees and our volunteers are essential workers. So it's been really a challenge. We've had to change. Everyone who can work from home is working from home, first of all. But obviously our warehouse selectors, our drivers, our distribution people cannot work from home. Just like the the food service workers and delivery people out in the broader community can't work from home. So, safety and food safety has always been the highest priority we do. So sanitary practices, we have all that in place. It was really about maybe amping that up to another level. So our facilities, we've restricted access to them to anyone who's non-essential. Volunteers, we have a limited number of volunteers now coming in because really it would be very, very challenging for us if we had a positive case in one of our facilities and would have to close down for a few days and sanitize and perhaps have some people quarantine, some very essential people. So we're very, very careful, and we've been very, very fortunate so far, getting the supplies we need to stay safe and putting into practices.
What's the best thing someone from the public that may be watching or listening, how can they help you and what you do? Is it reaching into their pocketbook or their wallet and deciding like that's the best way to do it, or do they need to donate a product or et cetera? What's the best way people can help your organization so you can feed people?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Really right now it is the financial donations that are keeping us going. In more normal times, more than half of our food is donated. So about 50%, a little more than 50% of the food is donated. About another less than a third comes from the federal government, from federal programs, and then 15 or 20% was purchased. So the donated food has reduced. We're getting less of that because the donation channels is generally the grocery channel, and they're going full speed. Grocery stores are doing very well right now. A lot of people buying food. There's less of that food that's not being purchased. The manufacturing, a lot of that has slowed down or stopped. So there's less from the manufacturing channel. Government food just takes a while. They are ramping up. There are more federal food resources coming, probably not until July. So the way we're increasing the amount of food we get out there is by purchasing that food, by the tractor trailer load coming into our 3 distribution centers in Barre, in Brattleboro, and in Rutland. And so those financial resources are critical right now. Volunteering is also important. So we have had to restrict volunteers coming into our facilities, but there are distributions of food happening around the state. Our Veggie Van Go distributions and our network partners, and they do need help for people who feel that they're capable. If you go to the Vermont Foodbank's website, it says vtfoodbank.org. You can find a button to volunteer, and that will get you into our system. Or I'm also directing people to the governor's volunteer platform, which is vermont.gov/volunteer. And we're working very, very closely with the folks who are coordinating that to make sure that volunteers are getting where they need to be in our communities. And take care of your neighbors. If you've got someone who or in your community who needs help shopping or preparing meals or whatever you can do safely, one of the really nice things about Vermont is that we still have a grassroots community, and it is really about neighbors helping neighbors, and we can see things happening at that scale. So that's a great way to get involved.
Yeah, the right now the little things in life are going a long way, and I think we've gotten some good perspective on that over the last few weeks. So just to maybe wrap this up, John, what do you think your next steps are? What is going to be your focus over the next few weeks and months? You're going to be in this for a while. It's pretty clear that this is, we had the recession back in 2008, 2009, but I think we're probably looking at this one even a little deeper on that one. It looks like that way. So what do we focus on the next few weeks and months?
So it's I agree with you. First of all, I think, as I've been saying, this is going to have a long tail, particularly for people who were perhaps struggling or on the edge before. Whatever kind of financial cushion people had is probably gone by now. and it takes a long time to build that back up again. So the food bank will be here. We are focused on getting food in and getting out, and partnering, with the state of Vermont with these FEMA meal distributions, with our network partners, the food shelves, with the hospitals and schools where we're doing distributions. It's really about coordinate. Make sure that everybody knows what everybody else is doing so that gaps are being filled, and everyone who needs help is finding help. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for people to take advantage of the resources that are out there. If you need help, don't wait until it's critical. Go out and get help. Three Squares Vermont, which is the federal SNAP program where you can get an EBT card for food benefits, is the best and most effective way to alleviate hunger. So if you're out of work, if you don't have income, if your income has dropped, look into applying for Three Squares Vermont benefits. The schools are still feeding kids. So right now, Vermont has a waiver. Any child under 18 can go to a school and get breakfast and lunch. And some of the schools are even packing them up a couple days worth and handing those out. Use those resources. Save your household resources for other things. Take advantage of what's out there right now. If you can help, if you need help, please ask. If you can help, find ways to help. And as I said, people can find out a whole lot more at our website, vtfoodbank.org.
John Sayles, the Vermont Food Bank, thank you very much. Appreciate your leadership, and I know the farm community, the agriculture community stands ready to work with you on projects and get you the help that you need. And I know you're helping Vermonters every single day. And we're going to get through this, as they say, one foot in front of the other. And we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us chatting about the Vermont Food Bank. Thanks.
It's a pleasure. You're welcome, Anson.
Thanks for joining us. Send us your ideas or suggestions about future programs. Also, visit our webpage of Vermont Agriculture for all the resources that can help you get through this pandemic. Until next time, I'm Anson Tebbetts.